So, good morning class. So, let us discuss about the complications of the nephrotic syndrome today. So, the one important complications of nephrotic syndrome is infection. So, why there is an infection in nephrotic syndrome? So, in the patient with nephrotic syndrome, there is a proteinuria. When there is a proteinuria, then the immunoglobulin is also one of the proteins. Then immunoglobulin also get excreted through the urine. There is also the excretion of the complement through the urine, as a result of which there is the hypogammaglobulinemia. There is decreased level of immunoglobulin in our blood, and there is also decreased level of complement in our blood. As a result of which we became immunodeficient. We became immunodeficient and we can't kill the organism properly. That is why if in a patient with nephrotic syndrome, they can have secondary infection easily. So, the common secondary infection that we get in a usual clinical practice are like spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, that is infection of the ascitic fluid. We usually get that thing. Second is patient can have pneumonia, patient can have the pneumonia, that is the infection of the lung, and patient can have even the pyelonephritis. Okay, these are the common complications or common infection that can occur in a patient with nephrotic syndrome. Second important complications that we see usually in a patient with nephrotic syndrome is thromboembolic phenomena. Thromboembolic phenomena. Why they become thromboembolic phenomena? Because of in a patient with nephrotic syndrome, they lose the protein C and protein S through the urine. We all know that protein C and protein S are the natural anticoagulant. They are the natural anticoagulant. So, when you lose that, then our blood become hypercoagulable, as a result of which there is thrombosis. On top of that, the patient with nephrotic syndrome have like sedentary lifestyle, because they cannot move because of the anasarca. So, that also like predisposed patient to have the thrombosis. So, we easily get the deep vein thrombosis of the leg. Like when we see the edema, and then we have to strong suspicion that my patient can have thrombosis as well, and we have to also screen for that thing. Similarly, I have got some patient with cortical vein thrombosis secondary to nephrotic syndrome. They are cortical vein thrombosis, and also patient can have the pulmonary embolism because of the dislodgement of the thrombus from the deep veins, and then which can block the pulmonary artery later on. So, thromboembolic complication is one of the important complication of nephrotic syndrome. Third one is they can have hypercholesterolemia. The cause for the hypercholesterolemia is that like when we lose the protein, there will be the hypoproteinemia, and that stimulate the hepatocytes. The hepatocytes start producing the more proteins, and one of the protein is lipoproteins, which also contain these triglycerides and the cholesterols. So, when there is an increase in lipoprotein level, then definitely there will be increase in triglyceride and the cholesterol level. Okay. Fourth complication is they can have vitamin D deficiency, because we excrete the vitamin D through the urine, and ultimately as a result of which we will have the vitamin D deficiency and the hypocalcemia. Another important complication of nephrotic syndrome is that some of the patient can have acute kidney injury. Though we see the patient is edematous and swelling, there is sometimes intravascular volume is depleted, and that can cause the AKI. The AKI there can be the AKI. The cause may be because of intravascular volume depletion, or maybe because of the use of diuretics, or maybe because of the infection, but there can be a AKI in a patient with nephrotic syndrome. And some of the patient can have the hypothyroidism as well, in a patient with nephrotic syndrome. Okay, hypothyroidism as well. So, these are the complications of the nephrotic syndrome. So, the common complications of nephrotic syndrome are infection, thromboembolic phenomena, vitamin D deficiency, acute kidney injury. Okay, acute kidney injury. These are the common complication of nephrotic syndrome we should always screen for. Okay. Then let us go to the investigation part. So, what are the things you want to investigate when you see the patient with nephrotic syndrome, or when you see the patient with generalized anasarca, and when you suspect the patient to have nephrotic syndrome, then basically we can do the routine like complete blood count test, complete blood count, and then we can test for the urea and creatinine, because some of the patient can have the urea and creatinine. We should always do for the electrolyte profile as well. These are the like routine tests. We can do the liver function test. We can do the liver function test. Okay, these are the like the routine tests that we usually do in a patient. Like we can do the ECG, we can do the X-ray, chest X-ray. These are the chest X-ray we can do, chest X-ray. Okay, but to diagnose the nephrotic syndrome, what do we need to do? We need to assess the, first of all, what we do? We do the urine REME, where we can see the albumin level, and we can also check for the different caste. Then we can do the 24-hour urine analysis, urine protein. If facility is not available, then we can do the spot urine protein, spot urine ACR, albumin creatinine ratio. We can do that. Okay, and then for the cholesterol level, we can do the lipid profile, because total cholesterol should be more than 350 total profile. So after doing this, and we can also do serum albumin will come from LFT, serum albumin we can do. Okay, so we can do the test for the diagnosis of nephrotic syndrome. And for the etiological diagnosis, what are the tests we want to do? So for the etiological diagnosis, for what are the causes, then MCD or focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, membranous glomerulopathy, but we should always check for the secondary cause first. Then for the RBS we may have to do for the because one of the causes is diabetes, another is SLE, we have to do ANE, anti-nuclear antibody. Okay, so these are the tests. Sometimes like hepatitis B and C also cause. Then after taking consent from we can do the hepatitis antigen and anti-HCV. Okay, so these are the tests we can do for the etiology. And for the primary nephrotic syndrome, we have to do the renal biopsy, and we have to see whether it is minimal change disease or focal segmental glomerulosclerosis or membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis. Okay, so basically to diagnose the nephrotic syndrome, we can diagnose the nephrotic syndrome by urine REME, 24-hour urine protein, spot urine albumin creatinine ratio, lipid profile, and serum albumin. Then we will have idea whether it is the nephrotic syndrome or not. And for etiologically, like as diabetes is one of the cause, RBS, ANA for SLE, and the hepatitis anti-HCV, and renal biopsy for the primary nephrotic syndrome. Other supportive tests I have already mentioned. And for the complication, as per the indications, like if we are suspecting the deep vein thrombosis, then we have to do the ultrasound Doppler. Yes, ultrasound Doppler. If we are suspecting the spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, then we have to take out the ascitic fluid, and we have to do the ascitic fluid analysis, like that. And definitely sometimes we have to do the ultrasound. Okay, so ultrasound kidney we have to do, because we have to look for the size of the kidney. Okay, size of the kidney. Okay, so these are the tests that we do in a patient with nephrotic syndrome, and there are other tests as well, but in the routine practice we do these tests. So the treatment wise, supportive treatment, like when you see the patient with nephrotic syndrome, then we have to counsel the patient. You have to give the low salt diet. Okay, low salt diet. And most of the time we admit the patient in the ward, and if like patient has the volume overload, then we may have to use diuretics, but that should be used judiciously. And like if there is like patient seems sedentary, then we may have to give the DVT prophylaxis with heparin. These are the treatments. And for the definitive treatment, if the secondary cause, then we have to target the secondary cause. Like for the diabetes, we have to target diabetes. For SLE, we have to treat the SLE. For the primary cause, like MCD, minimal change disease, which is more common in children, steroid is a drug of choice. We have to give for near about 6 to 12 weeks, right? Then we have to taper accordingly. Okay, so we will discuss that thing later on. And similarly, focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, we use the steroid. Some people are responsive to the steroid, some are not. MPGN, we usually treat sometimes with the steroid and steroids. And And last one is membranous glomerulopathy. So we use that, we treat that condition by modified Ponticelli techniques. Okay, if that is indicated, it has some indications to start the modified Ponticelli techniques. So other treatment that we have to offer to the patient with nephrotic syndrome is we have to give the antiproteinuric drugs like ACE inhibitor or ARB to each and every patient of nephrotic syndrome, because it decreases the proteinuria, ACE inhibitor, ARB. We have to also give the HMJ-CoA inhibitors like statins. We have to give the statins because there is hypercholesterolemia here, and sometimes we have to also use the thyroxine supplement to treat for the hypothyroidism, and vitamin D supplementation for the vitamin D deficiency. So, with this I would like to conclude this lecture. If you have any comment, then you can write in a comment section. Thank you so much for your attention.